Good morning, everyone. I am Mansipedia along with my team members. We are Group 4 and we are here to present our study on the case IFLI, that is India's first insurance company. The contents are uh, origin and vision, origin and vision, background scenario, employees as a differentiator, envisioning competencies, identifying behavior, competency, balancing and in reinforcing loop, SWOT analysis, decision making process, and recommendation. Ritu, please change the slide. Now, origin. Origin, sorry. Origin. IFLI is India's life insurance company. It is started as a joint venture between two public sector banks, that is Bank of Baroda with 44% and Andhra Bank with 30% and UK based financial and investment company Legal and General with 26%. It is incorporated in November 2009 and its headquarters is in Mumbai. Vision. Please change the slide. Vision to the vision of IFLI is to be the largest insurance provider in the India and to be in top five insurance company. It introduced the theme securing life and creating value. It focused on applying organizational goal. It developed among the employees and by stating be think new, do more, be honest, and be helpful. It means the employees are needed to demonstrate and were non-negotiable for the company. Vision 2020 became the mission for the company, and for achieving the mission, they have to complete the following process. First, employees as a differentiator, envisioning competency mapping, then identifying the competencies, then balancing and reinforcing loop, then communicating the competency framework, which will be explained by my team members. Now, next slide. In this case, the business model is used is bank assurance. Basically, bank assurance is a relationship between insurance company and the bank, which aimed at offering the insurance product and insurance benefit to the bank's customer. Why IFLI used this bank insurance? Because it they wanted to expand their customer base. Uh, and now I would like to call my team member to explain background scenario. Siddhi, please continue.
Thank you, Mansi. Now I would like to discuss about background scenario. So we will discuss about red ocean strategy.
Siddhi, voice is not clear.
Now am I audible?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. So we are talking about red ocean strategy. So red ocean strategy involves competing in industries that are currently in existence. For this strategy, the key goals are to beat the competition, and mainly this term red ocean used for the market where where the competition is very high but the profit margin is very low. The insurance sector is very competitive sector where 24 companies in the same and similar products minor price variation. Then internal on the external factors. So external factors are
Siddhi,
similar.
it's really difficult to hear you. I have to really strain my ears. मुझे नहीं सुनाई दे रहा है.
सिद्धि आप माइक को थोड़ा पास में ले लीजिए.
हाँ, what Ravindra is saying right.
Ma'am, now am I audible?
हाँ, this is better. Perfectly fine. Go ahead.
So, ma'am, where I have to start?
Siddhi, let's start from the beginning only. Red Ocean strategy, because I could not hear any.
Okay, ma'am. So,
Auntie,
red,
low, low.
yes. So, red ocean strategy is a strategy which involves the competing in industries that are currently in the existence. And for this strategy, the main goals are to beat the competition, and red ocean term mainly used for the market where the competition is very high but the profit margin is very low. The insurance sector is very competitive sector with over 24 companies offering the same and the similar product to the customer with minor price variations. Now, internal and the external factors. So, every company has the same external factors, but the internal factors, which is employees, by with the help of employees, companies can achieve the Vision 2020, and the competition is quite tough because there are a lot of companies offering the same, and IFLI ranked 19th in the insurance industry of India by the financial year 2014 and 15. In such a competitive scenario, the only way for IFLI to achieve its Vision 2020, that was their goal, to focus on continuous innovations and sustainable innovations from the employees. And servicing the policy is way more difficult than the selling of the policy. And the last but not least, an insurance customer is more concerned about the claims and the claim settlements. Thank you. Now over to you, Durva. Durva will continue further.
Thank you, Siddhi. To achieve Vision 2020, they basically focus towards the personal development due to highly regulated market. And this turns out to be a very economical decision because they didn't made a cost over recruiting and hiring of new employees to achieve Vision 2020. Instead, they made a cost on developing their existing employees as a differentiator. So employees as a differentiator was their strategic plan because they think employees could help them to make a difference to its customers. But there were some initial problems. Novelties and innovations offered by insurance companies were short lived and had a remote possibility of being patented. As a result, the only organic way to achieve Vision 2020 is to focus on employees who could generate continuous and sustained innovation and offer high quality customer services, which could certainly help them to capture the market. Now, the organization's job is to provide the right set of process and necessary impulse to create these differentiating factors in their employees. And this lead to the next point, that is envisioning competency mapping and career progression. For the better understanding, I would like to explain competency management. Competency management is a practice of identifying the key skills necessary for an employee to reach the target performance in their specific roles, then developing and optimizing those skills which could best align with the organization, with the strategies of an organization. Mr. Menon decided to form the competency system team to develop the tentative list of roles and their corresponding competencies, which employees were required to perform in their new expected roles. After defining the roles and competencies, the next step was to complete the competency diagnosis and a skill gap analysis to determine whether the employees had the defined competencies or not. For this, they need a competency model, and this model is nothing else but a guidelines developed by human resource department that sets the specific skills, knowledge, and behavioral requirement that enable an employee to perform their job successfully. If there were employees who doesn't possess these specific skills, that means there is a deviation, and this deviation had to be rectified through training and development. Over to Ritu.
Thank you, Durva. So, after what Durva has explained, now a question arises that why they have linked their I'm sorry. So the question arises that why they have linked their employees' career progression with their competencies. So as it was previously noted that the employees who were promoted tended to fail in their current job roles. So to overcome the situation, they introduce a new principle pay for performance and promote for potential. This was introduced so as to develop their employees' career progression. If an employee would get promoted, he or she would be evaluated on three parameters. First, the period of time spent on their current job role. Second, performance in their current role. And third, whether he or she has defined the competencies so as to face the further challenges. Now, identifying behavioral competencies. Behavioral competencies would be defined in couple of words. That is people's strength. It is basically a set of self-regulatory and task-related behaviors which would enhance the interpersonal skills of the employees. And then next, performance management system. It is an approach for employees for performance improvement. And next, over to you, Mohini.
Thank you, Ritu. Balancing and enforcing loop. In 2015, India's first life insurance co limited stopped using the bell curve system and adopted the balanced scorecard approach. The bell curve system of performance appraisal is a forced ranking system imposed on the employees by the management. When an organization wants to rank the performance employed directly with the rewards, generally bell curve system is utilized. In this system, the employees are categorized based on the ranking given to their performance. A balanced scorecard is a strategic management performance metric used to identify and improve the various internal business functions and their resulting external outcomes. Balanced scorecards are used to measure and provide feedback in the organization. The new approach with BSCs means that IFLI employee would receive 3 feedback meetings once each quarter before the final meeting at the year-end appraisal. This regularly feedback meeting help the employees become familiar with their performance. Based on their performance, employees were categorized into 3 brackets. The first bracket was growth quadrant, and the second bracket was S quadrant, and the third bracket was development quadrant. Manon decided to link the PMS with capability development or learning and development intervention, which could help to identify and address the need for any competency development. Manon developed 27 programs that were each 1 day in duration and were delivered. All L&D interventions were considered to be capability development exercise and not just training program because the exercise help employees not only their current job but also help themselves in preparation for future. They decided apart from PMS, all IFLI employees should undergo one compulsory L&D program every year, which would be counted as their CDE. In response, the Parker emphasized that to ensure a successful CDE, the list of 27 programs needed to the share with their employees through the human capital function. At the end of the year, employees need to sign up for a program that was there within their band. Employee in the operational band could not sign up for a program that was for the employee in the strategic band, nor could a superior do so for employees. Now it's up to you, Rohit.
Please change the slide. Thank you, Muskan. So the question arises that introducing the new competency framework and linking it up with PMS is in the right direction to pursue or not. So we'll answer this question with the help of SWOT analysis. So the first point in SWOT analysis is the strength. So the main strength of IFLI is that their employees are generating continuous and sustained innovations, which is helping them to make a difference with their customers. Then comes their weaknesses. So the employees which are promoted are unable to adapt the changes, and which leads to they also ranked 19 in the year 2014-15. So these are the weaknesses of IFLI. Then comes the opportunities of IFLI. So the customers are concerned about the speed at which IFLI is understanding the claims and settling them down. So hence IFLI also developed their employee to be bedrock of innovations. And lastly comes the threats. So the main threat of IFLI was that the insurance industry is a highly competitive market. over 24 companies are competing with each other to provide their best possible services like SBI Life Insurance and Kotak Mahindra Life Insurance and many more giant companies are providing their best possible services. So it's very difficult for IFLI to function in such a competitive market. And next slide, please. Over to you, Ravindra.
Thank you, Rohit. Second question arises how they should communicate the new competency framework to all employees, and I will answer on decision making process. Analyze the problems. These are important skills for business. Problem solvents often involve decision making is especially important for management and leadership. In this case, this could be the first time either Mr. Manor or Mr. Parker had advanced such an idea for the entire company. Two of them were concerned because they were not sure how to communicate the new competency framework for all 1400 employees. Then generating alternatives, and I will discussing on there is my point of view, and in this point of view, there is quarterly feedback sessions to see the how the employees responded, which could help the CST validate whether they were not the correct path. Moreover, the CST could also learn whether they are evaluating the employee for the correct competence. Then for my team's recommendations, subordinates. A subordinate is someone who is secondary in a ranking in a business ranking, business setting in a subordinates. And why I'm choose because of fewer members and does not have many does not they have a take time to communicate with them. Then evaluating the alternatives. Subordinate is in less in number, so they have not to communicate with them. They have not too much problem to communicate with them, and the feedback and result will arrive. They don't have any problem to proceed their feedback. Then choosing the best alternatives. India First Life Insurance, a quarterly meeting because the feedback was being taken from all the employees in these companies along with subordinates. If employee doesn't perform well, they do not terminate them. They used to provide the proper training. Then fifth, implementation and verify the decision. Implementation and verify the decision is that important as a decision formulations. So to avoid the problem in implementations, he must communicate the decisions what is, and he must indicates so is what change in the behavior is expected and what in action is expected. That's all. And my team has some recommendations, and I call you Durva to explain on this. Over to you, Durva.
Thank you, Ravindra. Few of the recommendations from our side, they had basically focused more towards the learning and development of employees, but they could have also given some attention towards the motivation of employees, because when the employees are well motivated and self-satisfied, they can serve their best to the organizations. And maybe IFLI could have done, maybe an IFLI could have achieved their goals a way earlier than 2020. So this is my recommendation. Over to Ritu for further more recommendations.
Thank you. Second point is L&D shouldn't have been imperative for all. As this point was mentioned by Mohini, that L&D, that is learning and development exercise, was compulsory for all the employees. But what should have been that that the employees belonging to the third quadrant, that is development quadrant, they are the employees who don't perform up to the mark, or what they have been said to, they couldn't perform it. So I believe that they should have been allowed to take part in this capability development exercise, or say L&D. It has unnecessarily increased the cost of the company, and not everyone had to attend this L&D program. Just the development quadrant employees should have been allowed to be part of this. Thank you.